everybody, and welcome to this very special Thanksgiving week episode of Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr., and today I am with adult contemporary country singer and Minnesota native Debbie Anthony. Debbie, how are you doing today?
I am so great today. Love Thanksgiving week. It's a blessing to be on your show this week, and thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. So, first is first, you are from Minnesota, and I know that you're a big Vikings fan. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to congratulations on beating the Packers this weekend.
We thought we were going to lose it every minute of that game, but we actually pulled one out. Yeah, I only threw two things at the TV, and I didn't think we were going to win, but I was so thankful we're still in it.
Yes, you are. And actually, you leapfrogged, I think, what was it, New Orleans and Carolina. So you guys are actually now considered in the playoff race. And
Yeah, which
so
is really surprising. We all Viking, of course, we always moan and we always complain and we always whine, all of us. And I'm married to a Packer fan. So it was kind of a nice night.
So you threw the first two things at the TV, and then what did he throw at the end?
He didn't. He's a good sport. I'm not. But he's used to winning. We're not.
That's good. And I did wear my Eagles shirt because the Eagles actually did win again, two games in a row. And it's not to rub it in from season past when we stopped you from going to the Super Bowl.
You know what? I used to like you until you brought that up. That is a very sore point for Viking fans.
Hey, but this might be your year. I mean, we've only had one, so and that's that. But
that was a great year, and it was a good victory. I mean, I'm okay. I'm past it, and so on. But I remember I was going to Nashville that day, and oh my gosh, everywhere there were Philadelphia Eagle fans because it was the day of the Super Bowl and it was in Minneapolis. And so it was very depressing for me as a Vikings fan.
Oh, sorry to hear that. But that's why I wanted to make sure I congratulated you today on this weekend's win. So you say that you're from Minnesota. How long have you been there?
I've lived here most of my life. I grew up here and been in and out other than college. I've lived here almost all my life, and I'm not going to tell you how many years that is, but it's been most of my life, and I love it here.
Okay. And so how did you make the trip to Nashville?
Nashville, that is a really interesting story because I recorded here in Rochester, Minnesota, and then a small kind of boutique, I'm trying to think of that, boutique label found me on Reverb Nation. And so they brought me into Nashville. And so I was with that label for a while. And then I decided to just go on my own. And I ended up meeting Gina Johnson, who is a producer, and she's also a sound engineer for RCA Studio. And she was the first female that was nominated for an ACM award this year as a sound engineer. So she's got, so I'm really proud of that and proud of her for that. And so she's got a side business where she's going into the production. And so I was very fortunate to be able to meet her through a colleague of my husband's in the financial services world. And so that's how I made that connection. So it was kind of a multi-tier type of thing, but brought me there, and I've loved Nashville ever since.
And before that, you were doing something else. You weren't always doing music, correct?
No. I was a music major in college, but I decided to go into education, and I was a teacher for a while, and I went into psychology and was working on my master's degree, and I was going to go into school psychology, and I met my husband, and then kind of the rest was history, and I ended up working with him instead. And he's a speaker and a writer, so I've been an editor through the years for him and working side by side with him. And so this is what I call a jobby, which is a combination of a hobby and a job. And as my husband says, it's all the pay of a hobby, but the work of a job. So I've always wanted to do that T-shirt and just have that little definition on there. But there's nothing I love more than doing music on stage.
Okay. And what inspired you to make that leap into the music industry?
Well, I've always wanted to, but then raising children, and I started entering all these contests as my children were getting up and, a little bit older, that I didn't have to stay home with them all the time. And so I'd always come in like second place or behind those with original music. So I knew I needed some original music. Now, I'm not a songwriter, but my husband's a writer, not a songwriter, but he decided to take matters in his own hands and write me some songs. And he wrote lyrics to 6 songs on my first album and got me started. And that's how it all worked. So because I knew I couldn't make it just doing cover music, I knew I needed some original music, and that was my stepping stone into the business.
Okay. And when you refer to that first album, you're talking about All Over Again, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And that came out in 2017. And
Yes.
What were some of the songs that he helped write on that?
Well, the first one, and I did record that again in Nashville, is Faithful. So
Okay.
that's the first one he wrote for me. And that's the one that's been nearest and dearest to my heart. And then he's also written some All Over Again, which is the title of my album, and Love Seas. And those are some of my favorite. And probably the one I always do well, I've done 2 albums, but I do a cover song on each album. And the first one I did was a Karen Carpenter one called Superstar. And so that was really fun to do. And besides the country, I just added that little, because Karen Carpenter is the one that really got me interested in music at a very, very young age.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned Faithful, and there's a little bit of a backstory behind that song, correct?
Yes.
What's
Yeah.
the backstory? Tell us.
Well, my husband and I, we met. My first husband and I married, and just for 6 months, and he died of cancer. He was only age 23, and I was 21 at the time, and which was obviously very devastating, for such a young person. And so 5 years after my first husband passed away, I met my husband, and we got married after 13 days
Oh,
of
wow.
knowing each other. Yeah. Blind date, 13 days. And now we've been married for 32 years.
Oh, congratulations. What an
Yes.
awesome story that is.
Yeah. So that was really cool. So he wrote Faithful for me, and just to get me going on my music career.
Okay. And why don't we go ahead and play Faithful right now?
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Anyone can lie, anyone can lie it down. They don't get it, but they sure do get around. Look into their eyes, see how empty they've become. They keep on running, but there's nowhere left to run. Look at me, my eyes are full of faith in you. But look at me, I'm forever true. I'll be faithful to you. Anyone can steal, anyone can rob the blind, but their soul is all that's left behind. Look into their eyes, see how empty they've become. They keep on running, but there's nowhere left to run. Look at me, my eyes are full of faith in you. But look at me, I'm forever true. I'll be faithful to you. Your love has made me whole. There's a place inside my soul doubts that I have and troubles that I knew have disappeared. You gave me faith in you. Some people never know, yeah. Guess they don't believe. Too busy thinking about when they're gonna leave. But look into their eyes, see how empty they become. They keep on running, but there's nowhere left to run. But look at me, my eyes are full of faith in you. But look at me, I'm forever true. I'll be faithful to you. I'll be faithful to you.
This is Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. with Debbie Anthony, and you just heard her song Faithful. Now, a lot of times I'll ask my guests, I'll say, okay, who would you like to be on stage with, or who would you like to perform with? And I know that you got to perform with one of kind of your role models or people that you look up to, Bryan White, correct?
Yes, yes.
From this moment, life has begun. From this moment, you are the one. Right beside you is where I belong. From this moment on.
So tell me about that, because I'm a big Bryan White fan, and when I saw that you got to perform with them, I thought that was one of the coolest things.
That was very cool. I've loved Bryan White. Of course, I love Shania Twain, and I love From This Moment On. And he was coming to 318 Cafe where I was going to be singing, and they asked me if I would open for him. And I said, of course I would. I'd love to. I said, do you think that he would let me sing Shania Twain with him, From This Moment? And they said, well, we'll have to ask him. And he said, yes, but there's no rehearsal, nothing. We just sing it together in the key that he's used to. And so I went with it. And then meeting him, and it was really an interesting thing. I was so fired up because the room was packed, because Bryan White, he was going to be at, I think some big venue the next night. But he was at this 318 Cafe, which is like a listening room. And so, there was just packed with people, and he was there, and I opened up so full of joy and so excited, did all my original music with my guitar player. And then he gets up there and he's totally depressed. And yes, I know, I can't even tell you what it's like. I think because, he's getting back into his career from being at such an extreme high and then getting back into it. He was just like, he shared his heart. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I could not believe it. He got so deep into his sorrow and, just sharing his heart that the whole room was just in his hands, because it's like, wow, here's a person that really reached the pinnacle of success. And here he is just sharing his whole heart, and which we all realize, music or whatever you're in, you can be up here, then you can be down here. It doesn't matter who you are. And just to see that just brought such a level of humanity, into this person. So when I got to sing with him, after all that, it just really touched me that he allowed me to sing and just to get into the song that made him so famous but he was so warm and open to me singing with him.
And that's awesome. And yeah, we tend to put entertainers up on a little bit of a pedestal, but as you mentioned, they're vulnerable. They have emotions just like everybody else.
Yes.
But it was great that he was able to, I guess, share it in a positive way up there on stage, which some of us don't have that outlet for. And
Right.
so that was great. Did you have any conversations with him after the show?
Not a lot because, I started and he listened to a little bit of my performance, but he was walking in the streets. I think he was just, I don't know what was going on in his life, but he was having a really, really rough day. And so he was just kind of walking down the beautiful suburb of Minneapolis that this 318 cafe was at. And so, I didn't get much of a chance other than getting a picture with him, buying a t-shirt, and telling him how much I appreciated him sharing his heart with us.
Oh, well, that's cool. So do you have any other influences that influenced you when you were little, or anybody that you would still like to be able to one day meet and maybe perform with?
Well, Shania Twain, I have to admit, I wasn't a country fan until I got a little bit older in my life, and Shania Twain in the 90s country, I was all in after that. And so if there's anybody I'd like to meet or get to sing with, it's Shania Twain. I even have one of her shirts. So like we both have the same shirt. I saw that. I go, wow, that is really cool. And she loves horses like I do. And, there's just a lot of similarities, but I really, really, really like her music.
So maybe that's fate that, having the same shirts and liking the horses that you maybe one day will be able to perform with her. If you could perform one of the songs with her, what song would it be?
Wow, that is a good question. I sing, there's a couple of her songs that I sing every show, like You're Still the One. That is the first one I ever sang that was country. I did it at a contest, messed up on the words, and I said, someday I am going to do that song again. And that really inspired me to keep going. And so one day I was singing in front of 20,000 people in a contest, and I sang that song. And so I guess if there was any song I could sing with her, it would be You're Still the One.
And I have to admit, that's probably my favorite song by her. So that's a good choice.
It is.
So fast forward now, you have a second album out called More to Be Said, correct?
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about the backstory with that album and how that came to be.
Well, that one, when I met my producer, who's I just have to brag about Gina Johnson, because she was just nominated for an ACM award this year for sound engineer. And she's the first female ever to be nominated for that award. And so I'm so proud to call her my friend. I was at her wedding a couple weeks ago, and she's just killing it. She has engineered for the top country singers, and she just is the type of person that everybody loves. And she's so talented. She could be singing herself. She sings on one of my songs, Run to the River. She sings a background to it. So listen to that carefully. She is phenomenal. And she took me under her wing and produced my first album. And I was in the studio, and this is crazy. I was in the studio with Steve Mackey, and he has been with top, like he is one of the top bass players in the whole industry. And I was with
in my understanding, Steve, did he perform for Wynonna, correct?
Yes, he did. That is a cool story, because he performed with Wynonna on the song that I ended up doing as a cover, because I always do one cover on each record. And the day in the studio, I find out that he had actually performed with her on her video and on her record that particular song. And the song is called Jesus in a Jukebox, and hardly anybody knows that song because it didn't go mainstream. But I heard her do it at a concert, and I said, you know what? I need to do that song because it spoke so much to my heart. And I always do songs that speak to my heart.
Jesus and a jukebox brings a comfort to his soul. One says he'll see her again and helps him let her go. He carries that old cross right down jukebox.
And so that was so cool. And on top of it, so Steve Mackey played on that record. And then Leslie Richter, who was a sound engineer, she had engineered the record for Wynonna, and she was engineering for this record. And so she reached out to Wynonna and just let her know I was recording her song. So Wynonna sends me a whole video of her talking and telling how proud she was and how that was her favorite song and how she wanted me to just make it my own. And I mean, can you even imagine? Here's Wynonna talking to me. And it was one of those moments I'll never forget. I probably will never have another moment like that in my life, but that was a highlight. And then I got to meet her a couple weeks later because I already had tickets to her concert, and she met me. I mean, I got to go up to her and meet her, and she gave me a big hug, and she wasn't giving anybody a hug, and she was warning everybody, do not touch my hair. And she comes, when I say who I am, she gives me the biggest hug and doesn't even tell me not to touch her hair. So, and she said, someday we will meet again.
Oh, that's so awesome. And many, many years ago, I did get to meet Wynonna.
You did?
I did. I actually met her. I mean, this was many, many years ago. I can't even think of the year now, but, and she was such a nice person and, just very down to earth. And
yes.
I was so grateful for meeting that. So that's such a cool story that
is cool.
That happened. And you have another song on that album as well called Second Best. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Well, that one, I was looking for one more song on my album other than the cover song that I did of Jesus in a Jukebox. And it was just taking a long time. I spent probably 4 or 5 months getting songs from writers, Nashville writers, other writers. And so I needed one more. And this one was sent to me, and it was just a rough, just on a cell phone. And it was called Second Best. And I'm listening to it. And I just said, I have to do it because it was about someone who had lost their husband or their loved one, whoever it was. And it just hit my heart so much because when I was 21, I lost my husband at 6 months to cancer. And so this song was just like, I dedicate it to him. His name is Tom Heisterkamp. I only knew him probably a year of my life from meeting him to getting married and to him passing away from cancer. And I just thought it was a wonderful tribute to him. And then but it also brings hope to people because even though you can experience such a tragedy in your life, there's hope later. And 5 years later, I met my second husband and, just so grateful for that I've been able to find love and, twice in my life and to have a wonderful life. And despite all the pain, and it was all worth it. And everything that you go through in your life, it works out in the end. And so my husband, he kind of likes to lighten up this, this song and just say, hey, I'm only second best. I want a t-shirt with second best on it.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, let's go ahead and play Second Best here on Hank's Corner.
Lost in the shadows, learning to let go is the hardest thing I've ever done. You promised forever we'd be together. Where do I go now that forever's gone? Without you, there's no such thing as home. Why'd you have to love me so completely? Just to fill me up with emptiness. And what good is knowing someday I'll find somebody new if all he'll ever be is second best? I've taken the steps to try and forget you. Guess the mountains just can't be climbed. Packing up memories, it ain't that easy. I've tried it all at least 1,000 times. I wanna move on, but I can't leave you behind. Why'd you have to love me so completely, just to fill me up with emptiness? And what good is knowing someday I'll find somebody new, if all he'll ever be is second best? Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Second best, not enough, 'cause I'll miss you, I'll miss us. Why'd you have to love me so completely, just to fill me up with emptiness? And what good is knowing someday I'll find somebody new, if all he'll ever be is second best? If all he'll ever be is second best.
All right, welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. along with my special guest Debbie Anthony. So this is Thanksgiving week, and we're getting ready to go into the Christmas season as well. And so I'm going to throw out a few questions about the holiday season and just kind of get to know a little bit more about you that way. So Thanksgiving, do you have a favorite food?
Well, I do kind of favor pumpkin pie. That would be it. But not fake pumpkin pie, like pumpkin pie that my mom makes, like
The real stuff.
fries, not the fake stuff. I don't like
Okay.
fake stuff.
I love pies, and pumpkin pie is definitely one of them. Do you start any of your Christmas traditions before Thanksgiving? Meaning, do you start listening to any Christmas music or decorating before Thanksgiving? Or Thanksgiving
No,
is the
I'm kind
starting
of a
point?
traditional. I'm a traditional, like you put up the tree the day after Thanksgiving. That's what I do. But if I hear Christmas music, I'm humming along and singing along. I am the biggest Christmas person there is. So.
That's me. I don't mind decorating until after, but listening to Christmas music before, I will do that. I've been known to do that.
That's awesome.
And you mentioned the tree. Is it artificial or is it a real tree?
Well, artificial, because we found out at a very young age for our son that he was allergic to
Oh, wow.
trees. So one Christmas Eve, there we are going to the ER because he has, asthma, allergic to the Christmas tree. So ever since and honestly, I've had the same Christmas tree ever since.
I've had mine for many years too. It's very practical that way and affordable.
It is.
And do you put an angel or a star on top of your tree?
I have a star, but I have plenty of angels around my house. So.
Okay. All right. And do you have a favorite Christmas carol?
You know who I can't celebrate Christmas without singing Amy Grant songs, because she's
Okay.
also one of my favorite singers and one that really, was one of my role models. And heroes. And so I have to listen to like Tennessee Christmas or whatever. I just love anything that Amy Grant. I've been to so many of her concerts at Christmas, and
Oh,
I have to
wow.
lison to that.
That's got to be magical. Do you put on any lights on your house on the outside?
Yes, we do. Yeah, just just probably a strip around the top. That's it. And sometimes I think we leave them on all year, so
Well,
we
that
just
was
don't.
going to be my next question. How long do you leave them on?
Well, we don't want to work that hard. Two-story house.
Eggnog or no eggnog?
No eggnog.
Okay. And what is your favorite thing about Christmas?
Um, well, I'm a very strong Christian, and of course, the whole meaning of Christianity and Christmas, the first Christmas, that's what's nearest and dearest to my heart. And then I've always loved giving gifts and just watching everybody open the gifts. And so I'm kind of a little baby at Christmas. I want it to be magical. I want it. I want everything about it, and I like it to last. And I don't even think we take down our Christmas stuff till the end of February. So we're really Christmas people.
Oh, that's awesome. Definitely want to keep Christ in Christmas. And,
Yes.
so as the holidays come, I want to wish you, a happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, and of course, New Year's coming.
Yes.
You want to give us a plug for your social medias, your website?
Yes. I'm really easy. Debbie Anthony Music for everything. And it's Debbie spelled the correct way, Debbie. And then Anthony Music. And I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'd love to have you follow me. Check out my website. I have all my music on there. I also have t-shirts and sweatshirts and everything. So I've got everything on there. But the main thing is I'd love to have you listen to my music. And you can do that many ways. I've got my own channel for Pandora. And yeah, so it's always kind of fun to listen to which other artists that they, say that I'm similar to. So that's really fun. But I'm on all the streaming devices, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anybody, your thoughts on my music, and if any of it can just, touch your heart, because that's why I do music.
Yeah, so Debbie Anthony is on all the platforms out there, so there's no excuse. You can find her one way or another. So thank you for coming on my show. You've been such a great guest, and you're more than welcome to come back anytime.
I'll be back.
I'll keep you to that.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you.